organisation was selected to develop the Be Connected program, and ASCA, like many existing organisations already working to empower older Australians through technology, sought to become part of the new program. ASCA applied for a Capacity Builder grant and set out a plan to manage what we believe to be a 3-year project, beginning for 1 year and, according to satisfactory progress, growing on that foundation for additional years. Now, Jenny Wilcox, ASCA's Director for Western Australia, was responsible for the day-to-day running of the project. Natika Horswright was contracted to work on that project, and Jim Parker, our Acting Treasurer, and I dealt with the funding and policy of the project, reflecting very seriously on the experience of both Jenny and Tick as West Australians. Our SWADE website had been tailored to fit the needs of those living in Western Australia and developed to build on the work that ASCA had already been doing in that state. We've used it as a platform for our Be Connected program. As the first organisation to be granted a Capacity Builders grant, I suppose it was expected there'd be a few challenges as we began our journey. But in those first months, the plan was to build sound foundations for an ongoing project. Now, the work that SWADE was doing was slowly beginning to show results when we discovered that this funding was indeed a one-off, and there would be no additional funding for continuing our work. Now, with heavy hearts and concern for future funding, we needed to rethink. But let me assure you, at no time did that thinking ever include not continuing to work in Western Australia. Now, ASCA clubs were introduced to Be Connected, and many have been most grateful for the funding and resources provided by the program. ASCA was amazed and alarmed when Link West was offered a capacity building grant to work in the same area, the same clientele as ASCA, while our grant was still in operation. But all these challenges are easy to get fixed. Of course, as a peak body in Western Australia, we've already been working with them, and our admiration of Link West soared when they too were amazed and alarmed by the conflict of interest we were both having. Now, they requested that the grant period be altered to begin at the end of ASCA's. Thank you, Link West. Let's go back and hear some about the planning of that program.
Nan inquired in August last year if I was interested in an idea she had for WA. She briefly gave me a rundown of what she had in mind, and it did sound exciting and full of potential for seniors and CRCs alike, and she knew both of these were my areas of passion. But I was about to leave on a trip to the US, and my mind really wasn't in that space to contemplate taking on a major project, the scale of which I had never embarked upon before. One thing was definite: there was no way that I could do this alone. Given the size of Western Australia, I hope Teresa's listening to this, 2.6 million kilometres squared, with a population of 2.6 million, that's 1 square kilometre for every man, woman and child. Give or take. The sheer sparseness of our state and the distance between so many small towns was a daunting canvas. There are only 10 towns and cities in WA with a population greater than 10,000. My own town of Walpole and surrounding district has had a population increase since I told you about it last. We now have 439 people. So that was the target area taken care of. Then there were the target groups to consider. Community resource centres, all regionally located, neighbourhood centres, some regional but most in the metro area, and then the local government areas. And there are 10 of those, many servicing several towns, libraries and CRCs in their areas. So how does one eat an elephant? I ask you, one bite at a time. I'm a firm believer in fate, and she stepped into my life again in the form of Natika Horswright, who was a colleague of mine from the CRC network and was the coordinator at Kununurra CRC that had recently wound up. Teek and I know the CRC network so well, having almost 40 years experience between us. So we were perfectly suited to support digital engagement and literary enhancement on a broad scale throughout the state. Giving Take a sell job to rival no other, the three musketeers, Nan, Take and Jim, and to a lesser degree me, because I was swanning around the US, we all set about a grand plan for the submission that Nan was keen to apply for on behalf of ASCA. The Seniors West Australian Digital Expansion Project, SWADE, is just that, a project expanding digital literacy and support for a range of people throughout Western Australia. It was formed initially to oversee the grant application by ASCA to Good Things Foundation under the umbrella of the Federal Department of Social Services and the Digital Literacy for Older Australians initiative, and delivered the Be Connected program under the UK-based Good Things Foundation. There had to be a successful grant application before anything could begin. Once that was confirmed in November and the contract negotiated and signed, we then used December as a time to be well prepared for delivery as from the new year. The action plan was formulated, tech services were confirmed, and an agreement made between the three parties, ASCA, myself and TAKE, as to where the lines were drawn in regards to roles and responsibilities, all working towards the required outcomes of the contract. In this age of technology, there are still many people who are not digitally enlightened, especially seniors, making them isolated not only physically but socially and emotionally. SWADE's goal was to reach out to these folk, connecting through the networks to provide access to learning opportunities via resources like video conferencing, delivered in their local centres, thereby taking the classes directly to them. The aim was to obtain new registrations of folk who are not already participating in similar programs, and once they had been through the Be Connected program, they too would be confident in dealing with government departments online, keeping in touch with friends and family via emails and social media, and generally staying abreast of what the rest of the world was up to. We hoped that they may perhaps get to like this digital age and seek to join a seniors computer club near them and continue to learn more of what technology has to offer. ASCA's Treasurer Extraordinaire Jim Parker had drawn up a pretty comprehensive budget, which was very close to the mark. The one major change I suggested was to have the travel allocation moved sideways to become video conferencing. It was evident right from the start that Teak and I could better utilise our time and dollars by delivering the program from our home offices, Teak in Kununurra in the Kimberley and me in Walpole on the south coast, some 4,000 kilometres apart, rather than travelling all over the countryside to visit towns and their CRCs, neighbourhood centres and libraries. We each have video conferencing capacity from our homes, and this is how we hold meetings and share resources, live and face-to-face, just like being there. Excuse the pun. With our year of delivering Be Connected almost over, and our commitments will have been achieved, ASCA SWADE will continue in its vision and mission to support and promote seniors computer clubs in Western Australia. I'd now like to introduce you to Teak, who is a bit of a techno geek, and became the front face of SWADE, who will tell you what we did in meeting all the goals. Thanks,
Jen. So SWADE, as Jen said, has provided ASCA with a great number of opportunities for partnerships and an increased profile throughout regional Western Australia and Metro. Sorry, I forget about our Metro cousins because we're so focused on the regions. As Jen's mentioned, her and I have worked together for a long number of years, but we've never shared a postcode. As she said, I'm in Kununurra. You may have seen that first graphic, 4,000 k's by road. It's a 4-day drive if you want to do 10-hour days. But we have got a very strong working relationship. Our passions were always similar. They are our communities and sharing our knowledge of technology and how that can bridge all sorts of gaps for people. When she and Nan approached me in August last year with the idea, I just left my CRC family. We've got one of the most connected networks throughout the country, I believe, and I was very keen to take on anything that would continue my work with our family. And the idea of supporting the Be Connected network partners was impetus for us to start with our brothers and sisters in the CRC network throughout regional Western Australia, and then we were going to branch out to our neighbourhood centre brothers and sisters, or cousins I think we're going to call our neighbourhood centres, yeah. Supporting them to access Be Connected grants and training resources, and then encouraging them to consider ASCA club membership for ongoing resources when their learners develop that thirst for more. The project was pretty much a blank canvas for both Jen and I. We spent plenty of hours planning our approach and reaching out to our partners, and as Jen had said, video conferencing was the only way we were going to make that budget stretch to support that many regional communities. Some of our towns have got less in population than some of your East Coast clubs have as members. So, we spoke to our state government department that funds the community resource centres to start with, and then also Link West. We launched our project with a very small free website to provide an overview of just what SWADE was and what we were intending to achieve, and who were the faces behind the mail-outs that we were starting to send. Many of the CRC family already knew who we were, which made it very, very easy for us to start supporting them. We came along with advice and information on opportunities for small buckets of money, so we felt a bit like Santa Claus with small offerings for them when the Grinch, our state government, had just taken about 40% out of their funding. So that issue posed a big challenge to a lot of our potential network partners earlier on this year, and thankfully with Link West, good work, they've achieved a turnaround on our state government, but our neighbourhood centre cousins are going through a similar turmoil at the moment. However, we did manage to sign up a number of our centres. About a third of our CRCs have jumped on board as network partners, and with each phone call and video link and workshop, I learn a little bit more about what each centre is, how they're coping, how they're delivering, or how they're struggling with running the workshops or attracting learners, or facing resistance from learners or potential learners who don't really want to put their stuff, their information on the Be Connected portals. So we're developing methods on how to approach that and how to address those concerns for our potential learners. We were becoming the sounding board as well as the capacity builders for our network partners. So today we've run 27 workshops since February, hosting 65 centre attendances, some of them are frequent flyers. That represents 28 community resource centres in regional WA and 4 neighbourhood centres so far. All of these have been held via our supported video conferencing service, which you can see screen grabs flicking up on the screen. That's been the big key to our success. We certainly wouldn't have been able to stretch that budget to go to each of these towns if I had to travel from Kununurra. You don't even want to know what those cost, those flights. The being there service means that we can build relationships and we can support our network partners. We can show them the portals, the resources, the devices. We're there for them at the end of the link. We're a face, not just an email signature. They have access to support from the WA-based Being There company, and that's critical when you're dealing with a range of connection types and technologies throughout regional and remote Western Australia. So when and if challenges arise, we've got a team in Perth that can sort that. That means that my time can be spent supporting the organisations to build their capacity. So we had a target of 250 learners, and we're very proud to say that we're very, very close to achieving that. Our September report was for not very far off that, and our October report is due next week. We've learnt a lot, and we believe that we've taught good things a lot too in that time, learning about how to support regional and remote Western Australia. And we're very excited to have the great results that we have and opening up opportunities for increasing the ASCA club membership in Western Australia as part of this project. So yeah, we're hoping to increase the number of clubs on the other side of the Nullarbor through this. So thank you very much.
Well, it's time for us to actually do a handover. BC, be connected. Jane, from Asker to Lead West.
Thank you very much, Nan, and I take the responsibility very seriously because I've been blown away by what you've achieved in your first year of delivering the Be Connected programme. I'm very honoured to be here, and thank you very much to Asker for bringing me over to receive the baton. Lead West is the peak body for neighbourhood centres and CRCs across WA. We have 150 centres. But if you come from other states, particularly New South Wales, you're probably familiar with neighbourhood centres. You might be familiar with their peak, Local Government Services Association. In Victoria, there is Neighbourhood Houses Victoria. There's 400 of those centres. So across Australia, we actually have over 1,000 centres. And I'd be curious to know how many of the senior computer clubs that are represented in the room actually run out of those centres. I don't know if anybody is aware that they're running out of the neighbourhood centre and community resource centre. Yeah,
could you speak up? Please?
Sure. Yeah, sorry. Speak a bit closer. So seniors computer clubs actually are a fantastic example of grassroots community-led activities that are supported by our member centres. And in WA this year, a report was produced called Falling Through the Net, the Digital Divide in WA. And this identified the issues and the digital stress being faced not just, in fact, by seniors, but by many Australians. But seniors was the biggest group that was identified as being at risk. And the risk was also identified about how vulnerable people are increasingly become if they do not, if they cannot access digital, don't have digital literacy skills or can't access the net. So we see the Be Connected grant and our Be Connected project as a fantastic way of building and addressing some of the issues identified in that report. And we're looking forward to building the work undertaken by Jen Teague in WA, across WA. I am also the chair of Anchor, which is the national peak organisations for the 1,000 or so neighbourhood houses and centres across Australia. And we see the Be Connected project that we will be building on in WA, working beautifully and in partnership with the Digital Springboard which is a programme run by Info Exchange and Google. And so our objective is not only to build on the Be Connected work, but also to spread and build on the digital springboard. And we aim to grow the number of senior computer clubs across WA, particularly running through our centres. So yes, so that's our ambition, and that very much fits in with our mission of growing vibrant, inclusive, and connected communities across WA. And across Australia, and it very much connects in with what Teresa was talking about earlier, through lifelong learning, providing a sense of belonging and a sense of worthiness, and a very important skill at the same time.